I was talking to Bernard about the Yogi Complete Breath. He mentioned that this will be more like a level 1 breathing, and the contact your higher self will be a level 2. So would you recommend to first go through these breathing techniques and then move on to contact your higher self?
I mean, you can do both if you wanted to. Which one do you have? You have the science of breath?
Yeah, science.
Yeah. Science of breath is more physical. If you notice in the back, let me see, I think it's in the back of this book. In the back of this book, they get more into the mental and the psychic. But most of this is just mostly physical type breathing to get you ready. Now, the contact your higher self, the yoga is the pranayama that is breathing. It's a breathing aspect of it, a mental aspect of it, and then the psychic aspect of it. So that's the difference. So I mean, you could do both because in there, I think, don't they have the exercises in there too? Yeah. So they have the hatha yoga exercises in there.
I think they're good with the retraining alone.
Yeah, and the whole body really.
Because I was having trouble with the first exercise and contact your higher self.
Why?
I don't know. I tried. It was to equalize the amount of breaths you take in and take out.
Yeah, in the science of breath, they explain it a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
If you read the rhythmic breathing part in there, they explain a little bit more in science of breath. So it's just you have to equal the intake with the outtake. And that's the biggest.
For some reason, I had trouble with that, so I figured I should probably move on to reading this and practicing.
Well, yeah. What you do is you regulate your count. You find out how long it takes you to do one complete breath in the way that they tell you to do it in there. All right. They have a low, mid, and high breath when you're intaking the breath, and that's the way science of breath. So I don't think Dr. King go into all of that. But when you take in the breath, you start with the low breath, and that's pushing the lower diaphragm out. And then when you get to the mid breath, you kind of push the shoulders up. The high breath, you raise you push the chest out. In the high breath, you raise the shoulders to allow the lungs to fill all the way up. And by going through that motion, you allow the lungs to fill all the way up.
Right.
And then you count to see what your count is on that. Now, if your count is 10, then you deal with 10 until you can go to 11, 12. No one can tell you your count. You have to figure out what your count is. You know, and then you'll find that after long practice, you'll find that you can go to 32. You know, you may find you can go to 64. You know, you just keep going until you can go higher, 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 higher. But the thing is that once you get that rhythm, when you exhale, you go through the same motion, you know, to push the air out of the lungs. Okay, and you try to have the same count. You know, if you did 10 to put it in, you do 10 to take it out. All right. Now, once you accomplish that, then you go to the next practice where if you tuck in 10 units of air, right? then you need to hold it you need to retain the breath for 20 units. Okay? And you try to do that. Now, in the beginning, you may not be able to do it. So you find the level that you can. Maybe you're going to do it for 10 in the beginning. So you stick with that until you can go to 12, 15, 20, till you get to your goal. But you continue. And then when you exhale, you try to exhale for the count that you tuck in. And that's rhythmic and that's a balanced breath. Okay? And that's that's the secret behind the breathing, the physical breathing part. Now, the mystical, the mental part of it is that by you regulating the breath, right, what you're doing is regulating consciousness. Because how do you hold consciousness? By breath, right? So if you was to stop breathing, you lose consciousness. So Ida and Pingala, the left nostril is Ida, and the right nostril is Pingala. Those are the lines of force that create consciousness, right? So you regulate consciousness by breath. Now, when you take this breath and retain the breath, right? What you're doing is you're forcing the subtle flow of prana within the body that make up the breath to become active, and that is kundalini. That's the dormant state of kundalini that makes everything move in the body. So that's why you want to give it a longer period where you retain the breath. Okay? So, read the science of breath if you can't understand the contact your higher self through yoga, and then go back to contact yourself higher, and you'll see, you'll begin to understand.
Well, what part were you having trouble with? The counting, the inhale, exhale, or the retention?
I was having trouble. Yeah, at first I was having trouble with the counting in the contact yourself, and just equalizing my breath, like inhaling and then exhaling. It was I don't know. I wasn't able to count it very well or something. But I'll go back to it after.
Yeah. Another thing too, if you can't do it on the fingers, it's the counting. Get some petals or get a mala or whatever. You can use petals where you just move like that and count. Or you can use the mala beads, the prayer beads. You can do that. You can use that as well. If you can't do it with your hands.
But you need some methods so that then you could. The problem I'm having is trying to repeat the mantra at the same time I'm keeping count.
Don't do that in the beginning. Don't do it in the beginning. In the beginning, just work on the physical part of it. That's what you want to do. You want to get the breath. You want to get the physical part right, and then you move to the mental part of it. But get the breath right. Don't do the mantra right away. All right.
The mantra? Affirmation.
Affirmation, yes.
With the affirmation, you do the affirmation after you complete one unit. When you take the breath in and push the breath out, then you say the affirmation. But don't do the mantra while you're retaining the breath. Not until you have it down pat. Because you do the mantra while, when you start to retain the breath, that's when you do the mantra. But don't use the mantra until you have got the breath down. The inhale, exhale, then the inhale, retain breath. Don't do that. All right.
So it seems that, I think I'm going to have to go back to that book and went straight into the other book. Doing the switching, like I can't really keep the same count on both sides. they have different
Why?
rates. It's funny, I mean, I don't know, it's like I'm close to more on one side than the other.
Yeah, well, what you have to do, sometimes you have to go back to the, first of all, you have to regulate your diet, in a sense, what's ever causing the mucus. Because like I say, if you breathe in on one side, saying clog, and you can't keep that's mucus buildup. So you have to, that's why the first practice should help you to regulate the second practice. So that now there's different methods of cleaning out the mucus, and you can look that up. But one of the methods is just trying to regulate, find out in your diet what's causing the mucus and eliminate that.
We use in Ayurveda what it's used is called nasya, and what it is you put a couple of drops of pure sesame oil in your finger, and you lubricate your nostrils before you do the pranayama, and that clears, not only it clears the passages, but it lubricates so your passages are not dried out. So we do the nasya with a pure sesame oil, just a couple of drops, and you kind of inhale it, and that prepares you a little better.
There's all type of methods to do it too. I mean, some
That's a
of
simple one.
the Hindu methods are really extreme, and I really won't tell you.
Yeah.
Well, I saw one that you're cleaning like the,
Yeah, cotton,
The
yeah.
nasya works. It works.
Yeah.
Just simple organic grade sesame oil, plain, just a couple of drops. That's it.
That sounds better.
Yogananda
That
used to
sounds better
use-
than the cotton.
Yeah. Yogananda used to use ghee, which is the clarified butter,
Mhm.
which is also very good.
So that's one way to
And
help
also
that.
to take a little bit of ghee and swallow it, to help the throat.
How do you spell that?
GHI.
No.
G-H-E.
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 Clarified butter.
G-H.
It's not that hard to make.
No, I make it myself. Very simple to make. Just a little time-consuming.
Yeah.
I'm still having problems with the last breathing.
Mhm.
So the other breathing, I'm able to hold my breath for a long period of time, fine.
Mhm.
But the last breathing, as soon as I put on the mudra, it's like I'm suffocating. And I only hold my breath like a few seconds before my lungs start shaking.
It might be psychological. I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know. That's the easiest one, and it's the most powerful one, believe it or not.
That's what I'm having the most problems with.
I don't know what to say.
Which one is this?
The last breathing with mudra.
The Yoni Yoga.
Why don't you show us what you're doing? Maybe you're doing something wrong.
Can I show?
Go ahead, go ahead.
It's just that one. Like that, I'm looking up.
Mhm.
Just when I'm holding my breath, it kind of runs out a lot.
How long you try to hold it?
Until I can't hold it anymore.
Okay, well then let go. Don't strain yourself. Remember I told you, take it easy, take it slow. Yogis don't force it or they don't do that. They let time handle those things. So you got to remember that. You can't go in there like the mad scientist. Okay, so you just have to just gradually go into it. Don't force anything. That's something yogis don't do. And if you go into the yoga teachings and someone tell you to force it, leave that person run, because that's not the way you do it.
studying the, like I told you, the Sermon on the Mount, and I remember you giving us the explanation for it before, but I forgot what you said. The part where he talks about an eye for an eye. He says, if I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps on the right cheek, turn from them the other cheek also. If someone wants to see you take their shirt, give them the coat as well. But you're telling us that doesn't mean to just let people, like someone's trying to hurt you. He's not telling us not to defend ourselves.
No, what you do, you try to look at it from a different perspective. You know, someone, slap you, turn the other cheek, mean you look at it from a different angle. Don't just immediately get up and try to take their head off their body. You gotta look at it from a different perspective. So that's what, that's the way I understand. So it's not necessarily, turn your other cheek and just let them beat you down to the ground. Because that's suicide, isn't it? Especially if you have the power to stop them. So,
Like under what circumstances is somebody going to just slap you? It just doesn't happen just like that. There's
Yeah.
some interaction going on previous to that.
you probably did something to bring it on. So that's why you gotta look at it from a different perspective. You did something to cause that reaction in them. So maybe you need to change the way you move forward in your thinking and your action. I think that's what he was talking about more than anything. So, let's look at it from a different perspective. Not necessarily to turn the other cheek and let them continue to beat on you.
My question with that, because I'm trying to figure out, to clarify something. When do you know that it is the person who has his or her issues to deal with, or it's you that needs to overcome or some negative, karmas or your issues that you need to work on? Because if you're trying to control your thoughts, you're trying to do good, you're trying to do, but the other person on the other way is still like you receiving some type of negative reactions or whatever.
That's- One of the things you have to do is constantly examine yourself. Always make yourself the first examination. If you find yourself caught up in something, go back and examine yourself before you examine the people around you. Because usually the answer lies with you. And that's why we must continually examine our own actions and our own thoughts, and before we judge anyone else, before we move forward to criticize anyone else. Go back to yourself, look and see what you were doing wrong. And then after you kind of have a hold on what your contribution to all of that, then you examine the other people. That's probably the best way to approach it.
Would it be fair to say that it is always karma?
Yeah, everything is karma. Everything is action. Karma means action.
So even if they're totally at fault, you still have karma to deal with if you run into a situation.
Yeah, it's always, and then who's to say who's at fault? Maybe it was designed that way.
I know somebody who, she's a very nice person, and her son, ever since he was born, he's been like evil in a way. And so she doesn't understand why she's had to go through so much pain with this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just came to the conclusion that it doesn't matter if you're totally good. You still are going to have people who are not going to like you. You're still going to have people that are going to treat you badly. And you have to deal with this part of your karma.
Yeah. It's like that. Karma is a two-edged sword, You always hear these little tiny stories. There's one I was just reading the other day. And it's a similar story like that in everywhere. It's about this Chinese lady that was carrying the 2 pots. You know how to put the pole on the neck, and they go and they go down to the well and they put the water in it. And she had these 2 pots. Now it's an allegory. It's not, but she had the 2 pots of water, and she go down every day and she fill the 2 pots of water up, and she put it on the pole and she walked back to her house. She did this for 2 years. Now one of the pots of the water had a crack in it, So after 2 years, one of the pots of the water, spoke to her and said, I feel miserable because every time we get to the destination, I'm half full, and she's, and the pot said, I'm not doing my, my side, what I'm designed to do, I'm not able to do it. I always have to do it. And she turned to the pot and said, don't you notice that on your side is all the flowers? So you have a purpose just like everyone else. You water those flowers every day. So in other words, the woman is the woman who's carrying the pot is that divine source. And she took use. She used that pot for what for the purpose that it was there. So all the flaws are being used. The good part of it is being used, and the flaws are being used, and that's how life is. So a lot of times, you look at people at the, and all their flaws, or even the crack pots around here. And that's what that was. The whole theme was the pot was a crack pot, So even the crack pot is useful. So you shouldn't criticize because that particular crack pot was doing more service than the pot that was perfectly formed. So that's how you have to look at life. So I mean, look, all those little stories. Just look into it. You'll see. It's allegories, but it make a lot of sense.
But in that case, if that child is demonic, no, she might be the best thing for him in this life. Because if he was raised to somebody else who wasn't is she loving and giving and caring? If she, if it was somebody who's not so loving and giving and caring, imagine what he will grow up to be. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. She was the best instrument for that life form to come through.
Wow.
If she loving him, giving him all the love. So
it's painful to her, but it could be the best thing for all of us.
yeah.
Wow. That's a different way of looking at it.
She got to believe in reincarnation for that.
That soul chose that mother.
Yeah.
And
they're linked.
And the mother chose the soul.
They're linked. They just don't know how they're linked.
Yeah. And maybe it was something that she had to overcome, something that he had to overcome.
How old is he now?
Like 43 or something. And he's got cancer.
He has cancer.
Because he leads a very stressful life, I guess, and to others and to himself. So she's carrying with this too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the people that, does the soul also fix the people that he or she has to have experience with, like your friends or other people?
So you
got some strange friends, huh?
so maybe you're one of those people that brought a bunch of crack pots around.
She wasn't friends too. Can't believe you picked them, huh?
Hey, that's the way it is. When I was coming up, my father, he helped us so entrenched in mysticism and had us doing all these different practices and had us just, I had to meditate every day, I had to pray every day, I had to, do all these different things. And by the time I became a teenager, I was going into deep states of contemplation, and states of meditation. So when I looked around me, I thought the world was crazy. It took me 12 years to get used to walking and talking to people, because I just thought everybody was so evil and just so, I appreciate them as human beings, but I didn't trust them. All these meat eaters, all these people that kill all these animals, kill people, just destroying everything around them. It took me a long time to get used to people. So, and I was saying to myself, what did I do to deserve all this? To be raised and run among all these people that was nothing like me. So and that could bring about a depression, but I didn't have the wisdom and the understanding of the law of karma. So I began to contemplate and meditate on karma until I began to understand it and I can appreciate it. Because you realize that everything is designed for a reason, that all of us need each other and all of us feed off of each other. So that's why I myself refuse to raise my kids the way my father raised me. I let them gradually, meet their own destiny. And if they take on the higher teachings, then that's good. So you have to be very, very careful about, just take it slow and try to understand things the way they are, the way it is, Because if you think too much about this, you'll be one of those crackpots, hiding somewhere,
Do you think we have a time limit to figure this thing out? Like as a species?
No, I think we're given the time we need it. You may not be given a time in a particular location, but yeah, you're given as much time as you need as needed. That's what the teachings tell us. But just like we know from history, from metaphysical history, that we were not always on this earth, and some of us will not always be on this earth. Some of us will have to leave and go somewhere else to continue our growth. But you are given the time that's needed.
Is it known?
Hmm?
Is it already known who will stay and who will leave?
Can't be, because karma changes everybody.
Hey, karma changes every second. Remember I was telling you, I don't know, I told you all last week but I said, once you make that change, once you vow to make a change, that change has happened. So once you come to the point and the understanding and the knowledge that you have changed, then all the power of that change is given to you. It depends on how you use that power, how you pull down that power and use that power. So all of us, change come with understanding and knowledge, and with us, unfortunately, we take the route of constant repetition in order to bring about change.
What do you mean constant repetition?
In other words, when you come to an understanding of something, change only comes with understanding. The way fear and ignorance bring the opposite, right? So when when you have understanding and knowledge and wisdom, then you are changed. But the only way you can pull on that is by demonstration of that knowledge and understanding. The only way you can pull on that power But what we seem to do, we have an idea of the understanding and knowledge, but we don't act on that knowledge. So we have to go through a repetitious thing in order to mold the physical being into accepting that the higher part of us have accepted it. You know,
Well, when you say we,
The
you
mental
talking
part
about
of it.
people who made the change?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
you know. So we have to mold and shape the physical part of us to accept that higher power.
So what you're saying, like, people who accept the change instead of using all of what's available to them
They
and
cipher
seeing,
off of it.
and seeing immediate results,
Mhm.
we tend to take a step backwards and do the same stupid thing over and over again
Yeah.
and not materialize.
Yeah, or cipher off of the understanding.
We mean like cipher.
In other words, they you know, they have water there. Instead of taking advantage of all the water, they take a little bit at a time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because if you notice, let's say if, you know, once you, and then now in the opposite, in the negative type knowledge and understanding, we let's say we see a fire and we stick our hand in the fire and we get burned, right? So we immediately make a change never to put our hand in the fire again. So therefore our whole history changed. So we'll never get burnt again. And anyone we come into contact that we can show the scar, they will never get burnt again. And, you know, so that's the change. But that was a negative type of attaining that knowledge. Now, what if you can go and sit in the silence and obtain that knowledge and understanding, and you go into this deep into this deep state, and you live that on a higher level of consciousness. You live through hundreds and hundreds of experiences because of the wisdom that you gain. You can see all angles of it. You can see the past, the present, and the future. So now that knowledge have absorbed within your being. So now you come out of that contemplation or meditation, and you walk in the light of that knowledge. So all the things that could have happened to you will never happen to you again because of your understanding. And that's the same way it is with everything, everyone, except that the basic man, he takes the role of gradual, steps of experience. He has a knowledge, but he said, oh, that knowledge must be digested and we must prove it to be so. But he had this higher concept, but he don't accept it. So he cipher off of it until he can experience that on a physical plane.
But doesn't our incarnation in the physical body kind of like, isn't that like a magnet to like almost draw us to like forcing the physical experience on us in a sense? Like, doesn't the body like demand that physical experience in a sense?
For some of us it does, but not all of us. Not all of us, because some of us accept the knowledge because we have contacted a higher self. So therefore, we need not experience certain things. We just move on. But then some of us, but then you have the other part that needs to go through that experience. Everyone don't have to experience being a murderer.
To know murder is wrong, right?
To know murder is wrong. Everyone doesn't have to experience being a thief or a liar to know that it's wrong. So those who go and seek the knowledge, in an ultra positive way, then once they receive that knowledge and wisdom, their consciousness have shifted to a whole different level of existence. So therefore their experience have shifted too, because now they're on a higher level, and they don't need to go through those things anymore. Versus the common man have to go and walk and get hit upside the head 100,000 times.
Now, how do you ask your higher self for that? Did I need specific orders so you don't have to go through?
Now, I told you that before, it's, you know, make a regular practice of study and sit in the silence,
Oh,
you know. You ask that question in the manner which I told you and, you know, the things that perplex you.
I have another question from the Sermon on the Mount. In the first part, it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." What do you mean by poor in spirit?
I have no idea. You know.
You tired of being broke? I thought it was the other way around. I thought they would inherit the earth or something like that.
Huh? No, that's another quote. The meek shall inherit.
Yeah, me.
You know, all of that is said in aphorisms, you know, and the difference is, a lot of that, you know, Jesus didn't say, because Jesus wouldn't say, he'd say, read the first part of it. What did it say?
Like the introduction?
No, the Lord's Prayer. When he say the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Our Father in heaven. Jesus wouldn't say that. You know, unless he's speaking about his higher self. You know, but because where's our Father?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. So, you know, you don't limit a supreme being to one location. That's total ignorance. So a person of Jesus' stature would never say that.
Or to a gender.
Or gender, yeah.
Or gender. Because the supreme being is neither male or female. So I mean, you just think about those things. You know, that's a good thing to go into contemplation on, or the silence on.
What, the original, that Lord's Prayer?
The Lord's Prayer and the New Lord's Prayer. Let's sit in the silence on that.
What, the old one?
The old one and the new one. And you'll see the difference of it.
Wow.
I think a lot of that was lost in translation though. You know?
Yeah, of course. Was. I was telling them last week that, I mean, you can go right to the library and look in the British Britannica or the World Book Encyclopedia. And right there, they say that they found 30,000 mistranslations from in the King James Version. That was a direct result of translating the scriptures into an English version. You know.
and a couple of days ago, I was watching on channel 241, and there was this pastor who basically said almost the same thing that he said. He said, let me tell you something, Dawkins' version, James' version, Bible, was, first of all, he said King James wasn't a good king. So he said, so that means that the translation is not an accurate translation, because he picked people who were not Christian and who didn't have any knowledge to translate. So he says you need to go to the Greek one and try to understand the real meaning of it, because the translation is not.
But even the Greek version, they found mistranslations in there. You know, coming from Aramaic to Greek, they found mistranslations. So, it's you know.
Even if a tiny bit of true knowledge comes through, there are still holy books.
Yeah, it's still a holy book. I'm not saying it's not a holy book, but you have to understand the crackpots. Remember we talked about earlier. So, you know, you have to understand that it's there. But you know, it's not saying it's not a holy book, because there's a lot of wisdom in the Bible.
Now, I hear a lot of people talking about the shift like 2013, and it's like this new consciousness people need to. Now, how does that affect us? Because not everybody's going to be at the same level of that, you know, consciousness. And how does that affect the light workers and the people who are not, you know, in the light yet?
Well, I don't know if that's even true. I mean, I know that, you know, we should, the Earth, the solar system should align, is some type of alignment with the galaxy, you know, with the central sun and the galaxy, supposedly, right? I don't think anyone can pinpoint the exact time. You know, we don't even have the instruments to do that. They, you know, they really going by all different type of calculations or whatever. But I mean, I don't know if all that. I mean, it's a lot of speculation, you know. But believe me, I don't think we have nothing to worry about. You know, like I was telling some people to come talk to me. I said, talking about end of the world. I say, well, you just, I'm gonna set up a foundation and you put all your money in possessions so that the next day I can feed a lot of hungry people. So you do that. Just keep believing in what you know. I have you do some good out of all of this, you know. But it's just, you know, I think people just go crazy. You know, I don't think.
None of the yogis have ever talked about.
Huh?
None of the ancient yogis have ever talked about, like,
End of the world type of thing?
yeah, like a specific date.
Now, in fact, the Buddhists say that it was a couple of Buddhists, and you can Google it. When they talk about 2012, they said that it's the coming of a great master. It's the sign that a coming of a great master will soon come.
Right.
That's what they say, and they say will come. You know, now I mean they openly saying that, you know, it's going to come from some other world. You know, and they announced that, well, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. You know, it was all over the world. You know, so I mean, you know, I believe that before I believe the end of the world. You know, story. You know, but because that's what most of those alignments mean. It means that some type of gate or change is coming because a great one. It's a preparation of a great one is beginning to do some type of common manipulation on the behalf of the earth or mankind.
Wasn't it the same story though with Jesus too?
Yeah. Well, all the great masters.
Cosmic alignment, right?
Some type of alignment.
Right.
For all the great masters, those things had to happen in order. That's a window to allow them to come in and manipulate the karma of Earth or the solar system itself.
Right, but what does the planet or mankind have to prepare in order for this
They
kind
they gave us everything. Krishna gave us the preparation. Buddha, you know, Jesus, all of them. They gave us all the tools of preparation. You know, those who used it will benefit, and those who didn't won't. You know, they may have to move on. So that's, you know, the tools have been here. See, you know, our minds are so limited that we don't see the significance of something that was given to us thousands of years ago. You know, so, but it was given to us nevertheless.
say there's no actual time, but there is a time when they have calculated when this alignment supposedly is.
Believe me, there's no particular time. They can't tell you the exact second.
Right, they
minute,
can't.
or even day.
Really?
Relatively speaking, it's already happening.
Yeah,
We're already.
that's right.
Right, well, of course.
Just like they talking about the Aquarian age. The Aquarian age been coming in for over 100 years now. See, you know, in our small minds, they try to, especially with the media, they try to come up with 1 second, 2 second, you know, or 30 second, whatever, to tell the people. But it's really deeper than that. You go back to any astrological chart and you'll see, you know, it takes decades for a particular age to come in. It takes decades. And then you gotta think, if there's light coming from the central sun, how long that light's been traveling at that angle. You know anything about astrology? Or astronomy, not astrology, but astronomy. How long that light, you know, when we look up into the sky, you look into one side of the sky, you're looking into the galaxy. You look on the other side, you're looking outside the galaxy. Now, that light has been traveling millions of years to get here to Earth.
You're looking at
So you're looking at the past.
Yeah,
You're
you're
looking at
time
the
traveling, you're
past.
just staring out.
You're actually staring at the past. And if you had some type of machinery that can tune in and put all those light things together, you can see, you know, you can see what happened in the past. You can have a picture movie of what happened in the past, because that light is carrying the images of the past. You know, so every time you look away from the galaxy, whether you're looking in the galaxy or away from the galaxy, you're still looking in the past. You're looking deep. Now, when you look away from the galaxy, you're looking deep into the past, millions, maybe hundreds of millions of years. Some of those stars don't even exist anymore.
That's true, yeah.
The light is traveling, but those stars have made the transition to a higher realm of existence. So it's no longer producing physical light. They might be producing etheric light. So that's why I say they don't have the calculations. They don't have the instruments to do the calculations.
Could you explain looking into time again?
Looking into time, looking into time, you have, well, I kind of just explained a little bit. Looking at it, you can look into the past and then you can look into time. Looking into time is being able to see past, present, and future all at once, and being able to do the necessary calculations of that time unit. Like I said, here on Earth, our clairvoyants, majority of our clairvoyants here on Earth have us looking into the past and to the future. But the cosmic masters look into time, which is a difference, because they live above time. They live above time. They are creators. They are aspects of creators, so of creation itself when they become great cosmic beings. So time does not exist for them the way time exists for us, because time is the time that we live in is a limiting type of consciousness. But a great cosmic master, it's like, in other words, a great cosmic master, if they was looking at this room right now, they would see past, present, and future, when we only see the present, and it's like we're moving like snails. So they can actually speed it up or slow it down. They can see everything, and they can calculate the exact moment to do whatever they need to do because of that. In the same way, if we chasing a cockroach on the floor, we can dictate which way that cockroach is gonna go. You know, because of our superior intelligence over that cockroach. You know, and it's the same thing with the cosmic masters. That's why they look into time and not into the future, because they have the exact calculation of that.
So the future changes, but time doesn't change?
The future, yeah, in a sense. You could say it in a sense, if that's help you to understand it. You know, because in order to really know the future, you have to know the past and the present. You have to be totally aware of past and present. And that's just mathematics, right?
Right.
If you know the past and you know the present, then you can predict the future. You know, so, but when you go to a cosmic level, a supreme, super conscious state, you know, then time does not limit you the way time limit us. See, you know, time limit us because of the vehicles of expression that we in. Even the spiritual hierarchy of Earth can look into time.
Yeah, anybody who breaks the chain of rebirth,
Yeah, because they live in a risen body. See, and they're not limited by by this physical type vehicle of consciousness these layers of vehicle of consciousness that we live in.
Do you remember how time is created for us?
By this, the shock you're descending?
Yeah, but when it comes to a resting point, when it's trapped and completely
In the
bound.
3.5 knot?
Yeah, that's when time is born
Yeah.
for us.
That's when we step into the annals of time, in a sense. See, and now time have became a limitation for us, instead of just an aspect of creation or dimensions, you know.
So when Dr. King says the great ones looked millions of years into time,
To time.
and they saw that we would need the intervention of the adepts,
Mm-hmm.
nothing could have changed that?
Why do you think they here? They making the change.
No, I'm saying we ourselves, like we would need that help. We couldn't have altered time in a way so that we wouldn't.
They did all the calculations, and with our limited consciousness, they knew that we would walk into the wall. The same way we can trap the animal, the same way we can take the cows and put them in a corral and make them go into one direction. It's the same way, you know. I mean, to the cosmic beings, we must be like, you know, intelligent animals, or semi-intelligent animals, I would say. You know, so they knew, you know, they know the same way we know a mouse gonna enter this room and they're gonna crawl up around the wall.
Yeah, that's their behavior pattern.
You know, that's their behavior pattern. Now the rat may come right across here. That's, you know, that's their behavior pattern. You know, and we know that by studying them. So it's the same way the cosmic beings study us, so they know our actions. You know, so at different parts of time, you know, Zoroaster came and did his manipulation. You know, then the great Lord Buddha came and did his manipulation. Laose came and did his manipulation. You know, Sankachara, Jesus, all of them came and did their manipulation in order to shift. You know, in order to shift it a little bit.
And this is why I've always believed in predetermination and thought there was no such thing as free will, ultimately. But,
No, it's a free will. It's a free will. Because if it wasn't any free will, then they wouldn't have to come and do their manipulation. In other words, it's just like I was telling you earlier, make the connection. When you have understanding and knowledge, you bring about what?
Change.
Change. When you have fear and ignorance, you stagnate yourself. And you fall prey and you fall down into darkness and there's no light to see the way. But when they come and give you understanding, knowledge, and wisdom, the light comes and you can see your way. So constantly they trying to push everybody up into the sattvic state of, of existence, where there's constant light and knowledge and understanding around. And that's the difference. Because you can go up or you can go down, so you have free will.
So what you're saying, you're thinking if there was really free will, then there was no way they'd be able to calculate that and be so sure about it?
Yeah.
No, because it's your free will that they're using to calculate exactly where you're going to be.
They're giving you the tools to make the decision.
Yeah, it's a tool available, but humanity's not using it.
So
they do be working.
No, they're using your free will to know you're going to be in the next room tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just like martial arts or kung fu or whatever. You want to use that person's energy against themselves. That's the true knowledge and secret about martial arts. If you come to me with a force, I'm going to stand there and let you deliver your force, and just before it hit me, I'm going to move out of the way, so that force take you down on the ground. See, and the only thing I have to do is just tip you a little bit so you can continue to fall. To try to wake you up and say, maybe I need to rethink what I'm going to do here. See, I mean, you gotta constantly use their force against them. So the great masters, they see our nature, and they just make the little shifts and try to bring about understanding and knowledge so that we can move on. And they, and I'm sure they have the calculation. They know that a certain percentage of people will ascend, over a period of 100 million years, and they know that a certain percentage won't.
Could that percentage be changed?
Huh?
Since we have free will and those calculations have been made already.
No, it's not.
Their manipulations change that percentage and raise the percentage?
Yeah, I mean, things happen. Yeah, their intervention helped to increase, that percentage, and that's why they're there. That's why they're there, to increase those percentages. But if they let us go on and on and on, it may take instead of 100 million, it may take 1 billion, years. So what they try to do is accelerate it, So that's that's looking in time versus looking in the past.
So, like, according to the calculations, couldn't they already know, like I asked before, who would stay on Earth and who's going to the planet?
In a sense, yes, and then in a sense, no, because things can happen.
Which they've already made allowances for.
Yeah, but sometimes things happen to bring about greater things. It's just like the beings of the masters from Gotham. They made their calculations, but a great Lord of Karma, this great Lord of Karma came on the scene, right? And changed everything. So, we're there, and so it's always, the free will is always there, and then the actions of all of those can be calculated even above the cosmic masters. Like the great Lord of Karma said, no, this cannot happen, and they will move forward and whatever, So that's why free will exists. So no, it's not everything's not predestined. Don't believe in that. A lot of Hindu people believe that. Orthodox Hindu people.
Yeah, it seems like it's both, because if you don't exercise your free will, then you're going to keep heading in the direction that you destine yourself, where everything is pushing you towards, but at any time you can change direction if you use your free will.
Yeah, it's not only free will too. Now there's free will and then there's freedom. See? You have to think about that. What you want to do, because if you use your wisdom, if you use understanding, knowledge, and wisdom, then you gain freedom. And the freedom is to work within the law of karma to bring about whatever you want to bring about. See? And that's where you really want to be. You really want to give up your free will and work within the law of karma. And then when you work within the law of karma, then you gain this freedom to do whatever you want to do within the law. Yeah.
Nothing can work outside the law of karma.
No, but when you do the free will, then you bring about pressure against you. You know, like the kung fu man that use the your own force against you. That's the law of karma. You know, study everything with the knowledge and wisdom of the masters. Karate and Kung Fu was designed by a master. You know, so what they did, they used karma, right, and kriya, right, and bhakti to create karate and Kung Fu. Study under that light, and you will see those laws working out. You know, in every move, you'll see it. And you'll begin to understand karma a little bit better. So it's not delivering the hardest blow. It has nothing to do with it. You know. Study the ancient kung fu and karate. So you want to gain freedom. You want to get away from free will and gain freedom. You want to be the force within nature, not the force against nature. Free will is the force against nature, which has to create another force against you. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's just like the physical body, which any metaphysical scientists understand this, that why we have all this pressure built up against our body. You know, what they say is like 15 pounds of pressure, so many inches or whatever, you know, against the body, and then there's another internal pressure against that. Why do we have that? See? Why do we have that? It's because of the limitation of karma that we have placed on ourselves. See, if we were in a risen body, we wouldn't necessarily have that pressure. We would be a part of the natural flow. You know, and we'll be able to vibrate in and out as needed. And the earth wouldn't have to give back this pressure. When we, you know, if we weigh 150 pounds and the earth pushed back another 150 pounds to us, right? Which brings about this level of gravitation and equilibrium, right? So if we were in a risen body, the earth wouldn't have to we wouldn't tax the earth that way. You know, that would need to be, because we will work with the pressure of the earth. And we have to shift the whole city, the whole realm of existence to whatever level it needs to be shifted to in order to work within the pressures of the earth, then we would do that. You know? And that's why I was telling you about the physical plane. The physical plane should be a barren place. You know? So, I mean, look at it with the teachings that's before us, and you'll see those things. You know, that when you work within freedom and not free will, you know, then you're not building up this great negative pressure against you. You know, because karma is pressure towards conformity. It's conforming you to do those things. But when you work within the law of karma, then you can get to your destination quicker.
Could you give an example of, say, like, the decision-making process working in free will and working in freedom?
I didn't just do that.
Well, I mean, like an everyday example. Like if I have a task to do and an assignment or a goal to achieve. How would I go about achieving that goal, thinking under free will, or how would I go about achieving that goal working under freedom?
I mean, that's a whole nother hour.
I mean, basically the difference is in that in freedom you can see in time. You can make a decision and know exactly who's going to.
Well, what you try to do is you try to not to bring any type of negative pressures against you. that you know of consciously. And you'll be working within the law of karma on your level of existence. You understand? You try not to provoke someone, which is very difficult for us. The majority of us are very, we're just ignorant to the max. And a lot of us don't want to accept that, but we are. But what you try to do is you try to work within the framework of your understanding of what hurt, what bad and good is, or hurt, not to hurt someone, not to build up pressures against someone.
It's like, for example, I'm trying to start a business, but I want to start and operate that business within the law of karma.
Yeah. Without necessarily doing harm to other people or other things. Not explicit harm, not intent, It's not your intention to corner the market and put a lot of people out of business. It's your intention just to help and to fit within the framework of things, but raise that level to a different level that you're going to be working on. That's what you want to do. Because what you do, you bring about negative karma against yourself if you go the other way. Any other questions?
In the 12 blessings, when we were the invocations at the beginning and the end, let me read one. I'm curious about. We invoke power from the Supreme Lords of Karma. Is that real? Like, are we really calling on the Supreme Lords of Karma and asking for their power? Should we do that?
What?
Should we do that?
Yes.
You do it every time you breathe. Whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
What do you mean every time we breathe? I'm
Every
good.
time you breathe, that's what you're doing.
Remember, karma is action.
Mhm.
You cannot breathe without the law of karma, or without the laws of karma. You can't make one action without them. Without either creating a pressure, a positive pressure, or a negative pressure. So everything you do is within that confine.
So I take a breath, I'm invoking power from the Lords of Karma.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to breathe.
So you said Devas are lords of karma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're loyal servants of the Lords of Karma. They gave up free will for freedom
And became a diva.
and became a diva.
So they're sentient beings, just like us.
Yeah.
Going down a road of experience. You had some divas that were humans that they gave up this human existence and became divas. So now, since they stripped themselves of free will, they're born with a natural instinct of the law of karma. And now they manipulate the energies of mankind and the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, all of that.
So what exactly is invocation? Is it a request for power? So when the other invocation to the Masters of Sun and Saturn, why would they have to respond to our invocation?
Like I just told you, what is a cosmic being?
A Lord of Karma?
A servant.
But what did I call them? I described them as one.
Create.
So that's a great difference. So why wouldn't we call them that? And then we go back to the class that I had on the secret doctrine, where she went and really described the great manipulation. she did it with all this ancient text or whatever, but Madam Valesky described that they were, the manipulations they did in order to bring about the realms of existence here on earth that we live on. You know, how she described the Seneca Mara and all the cosmic beings that came with them, how each one of them went to existed, you know, helped to create each realm of existence. You know, manipulate the energies of each chakra level, creating the realms of existence to allow mankind to exist on and gain his experience. They're creators, you know, and they use the energies of Uranus, Venus, and they go into she goes into deep explanation in that in the Secret Doctrine to manipulate these realms of existence. So, you know, how do they do that? With the law of karma. They were only allowed to do that with the law of karma. So that's the difference. Let me tell you now, you're talking about law of karma, you're talking about Devic. I think I spoke about that last week. I spoke about Devic magic. You have to be very, very careful with that. Okay? That's how you cause, I think I said that you shouldn't direct energy to the divas directly unless you are very advanced, you know, being a person, you know, because you have to balance that energy. You know, if you call on a diva to do a certain job, you have to balance that energy. Same way in any type of invention or chemical calculation, the calculation has to be exact. You notice that? If I take some chemicals and put it on the top of a wooden stick, and then I take another set of chemicals and lay it in a paper form on a box, and I strike that match, those chemicals have to be exact in order to bring about that fire, right? So if you're manipulating energy through your body, and you don't manipulate the exact amount of energy, and you brought that diva, because the strike of that match, you brought the diva in your presence. The fire is the diva. So if you're doing that through the manipulation of prana, and you brought two different pranas together to bring the diva into your presence, that it has to be exact. If not, the diva once the diva start that action, the diva has to complete that action. So therefore the diva has to take the energy from somewhere. Now where do you think the diva gonna take the energy from? From you. You know? So in order for the diva to appear there and complete that action, they're gonna pull from your life force, and you may not like that. In some cases, if you're asking them to do something like Alice Bailey said, and even Dr. George King said, that let's say if there was a hurricane coming or some great storm, and you called a diva into your presence, and you manipulated different sets of energy in order to make conditions right to bring that diva to your presence, then if you make a mistake and you didn't put the exact amount of energy on each side, then he or she has to balance that energy with your life force, and in that case, it's death. They know that to drain all the life force out of the body and bring about initiation of death will bring about the right balance. You know, the good thing about it, you stop the storm. But you lose your life at this time, and you have to be reborn again. So you have to be very, very careful with these math, you know. You have to be very, very, it's the same thing in doing mathematical calculation. It's the same exact science.